It's great to see Randy Herford with us this morning after his surgery and recovery from all of that. We're glad to see you here this morning. And we're working through this text from Matthew 18 through 20 and these difficult words that Jesus has to say and communicate to his people. And so we're looking in chapter 19 this morning, and concerning divorce is what it says according to the title in my Bible, concerning divorce. So we're going to look at what Jesus has to say about divorce and in the context of marriage and all of that this morning. This is Family Foundations talk for this week and for next week, as we're looking at some difficult words of Jesus from Matthew chapter 19, verses 1 through 12, as he talks about divorce and he talks about marriage. He is questioned about the very context of divorce and what is his teaching, what is his thoughts on this, what does he really stand for when it comes to this whole matter of marriage and divorce. And we live in a culture in which marriage is under attack. One historian, Lawrence Stone, says, that the scale of marital breakdown in our time is unprecedented in history. The change that is coming across the family in such a short period of time is really unprecedented in history. There have been times when the family was just structures were really broken down, similar to what we face now. But the speed in which it has done over the last several years and the pictures, and you can't avoid it. It's just around us all the time. So not only like billboards that says, life's short, get a divorce. Messages that websites that will offer you a cheating partner that will be completely anonymous. You'll never get caught. Untraceable. The whole context is everything has changed now, right? Internet dating, texting, social media, contacts, connections, all these kinds of things, man. The opportunities to walk away and the tabloids and the internet communications are constantly offering this and saying, this perhaps is a way out. This is a way out. It was like that in Jesus' time. Marriage was a very light thing, treated very lightly. And the Pharisees sought to test Jesus. So Matthew chapter 19, the subject is divorce throughout this passage through the first 12 verses. And listen to what Jesus, the situation. When Jesus had finished these words, what were those words in chapter 18? They were about forgiveness, right? 70 times 7. If you don't forgive, neither will your Father will do unto you. From the parable there. So it's good to look at that passage again. Then he departed from Galilee, and he came to the region of Judea beyond Jordan. Large crowds followed him there, and he healed them there. Some Pharisees came to Jesus, testing him and asking him, is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any reason at all? And he answered and said, have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let no man separate. They said to him, why then did Moses command, give her a certificate of divorce and send her away? He said, because of the hardness of your heart, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it has not been this way. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife except for immorality and marries another woman commits adultery. Does that make you cringe? Does that make you take a deep swallow? It does to me. The disciples said to him, the relationship of the man with his wife is like this, it's better not to marry. And he said to them, not all men can accept this statement, but only those to whom it has been given. For those who are eunuchs are those who are born that way from their mother's womb, and there are eunuchs who are made eunuchs by men, and also eunuchs who made themselves eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. He who is able to accept this, let him accept it, okay? We're going to get into part of that next week, because it's just too much to cover all this. But the whole subject is divorce. And what is Jesus teaching? And as followers of Jesus, we just talked about, have your way in me. I want to understand what your way is. I want to understand what your plan is and what your calling is. And this by no means is the total summary What we're going to talk about today is the total summary on the teaching on marriage and divorce. But we're going to walk through this passage and see what God's Word has to say and what He wants to communicate to us from this. I mean, we live in a day and a time that is very similar to Jesus' time. This was part of the question that they asked Jesus. You know what is this whole thing about divorce? What is the right answer on it? Because this was a divisive thing. There was a dilemma among the Jews. There were those who were teaching from the school, the rabbinic school of Shammai, that the only reason a person could divorce was on the basis of adultery. And then you had the school of Hillel that said a man can divorce his wife for any and every reason if she displeases him in any manner, is what he said. And he included such things as, if you didn't like the dinner she cooked, you could divorce your wife. And the only thing that was required for divorce was you took your sandals off, you went outside the house, out in the street, in a public thing, 3 times, and you said, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you. And it was a done deal. Talk about no-fault divorce, right? Talk about easy. You understand? I mean, a big conflict blows up. You have a conflict in your home. I'm done with you, baby. Done. Go find another place. Go find another place to live. That's what was going on during that time in Jesus' day. Marriage was treated very lightly. It's not uncommon, like today. We have new coinage, new verbiage that is now talking about, says, views marriage as, well, that was my starter marriage. Like a starter home? I have a starter marriage. Wasn't intended to go for the rest of my life. It was just kind of a beginning experience till I moved up till something else. Till something else came along better. But it worked for a period of time and in its time. If you're not married, and you're involved in a relationship, you need to get married. You need to get married. You need to cut it off, or you need to get married. Let me read God's Word, Hebrews chapter 13, verse 4. Listen to these words. Marriage is to be held in highest honor. That's counterculture, isn't it? Let marriage be held in the highest honor. The marriage bed is to be undefiled, because fornicators and adulterers God will judge. He takes that matter seriously. If you're living with somebody and you're not married, and you say, well, we don't have the money to get married, or we're waiting for a period of time to get married, either break it off now. Either break it off. I mean, listen to God's Word. Either break it off now or get married. We will help you. We can provide you a marriage, a wedding, okay? We will do everything we can. It doesn't cost much, but it'll be nice and be beautiful, and you will be married. You'll be married. Because we want to uphold the standard of marriage of God's Word.